Good morning and welcome back to my channel. This vlog is going up a little earlier today because we've got a bit of a hectic day, but I'll touch on that in a moment. Firstly, my results for the week. I stuck to my usual 2 A's, 2 B's, 11 sins, and I lost £2. Now I'm going to explain how I did that and why I did that. I was working in preparation for Father's Day tomorrow because I'm planning to take Joe's dad out for lunch. Well, we're planning to take Joe's dad out for lunch, and it will be a carvery lunch. Excuse my phone again, please. It will be a carvery lunch, and so I can opt to have the stuffing and the Yorkshire pudding and a couple of roasties. But I thought I'd prepare for that rather than, putting weight on and going up rather than maintaining. So I had method in my madness. Also, up to my walking this week. I have never walked so far in the rain. In Nottingham this week has been a really wet week. We had one day when we didn't walk at all because we had something else on. But all in all, in the rain this week, we've walked 51.65 miles. Now, when I say that, I count that on my Fitbit, but that is purely my going out for a walk walking. I don't wear my Fitbit all day long. So that's not including the general walking I do around the house and everywhere else. It is literally putting it on when I'm going out for a walk. So all in all, I do more mileage than that. But as the lady in group said this morning, it's not about Body Magic. Body Magic's for toning. Body Magic is not for weight loss. And she was quite firm about that, and I understood totally where she was coming from. We have a stand-in leader this morning, but she was excellent. Body Magic is for toning up. You can lose all the weight you need to lose without doing exercise. It's just the bonus of toning up some of that muscle as you lose weight, which will, I believe, result in you having not less loose skin, but better quality of loose skin, shall we say. I mean, at the end of the day, the skin is the biggest organ in the body, and if you can treat it well, it'll treat you well. If you do what I've done for years, which is inflate it, deflate it, inflate it, deflate it, you expect to end up with some loose skin and a few wrinkles here and there. But if you do your Body Magic on the way down, lift your weights, do your walking, take up your running, whatever it is that floats your boat, it will help you. But if you can't exercise for whatever reason, even if you don't have the time to exercise, you will still lose the weight if you stick to plan. But that's the key. You have to stick to plan. Now I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. It's been a shit week this week.
Oh no, you've changed something else to get the £2 off as well.
Oh yes, sorry Joe, let me do that first. Yeah, what did I do to change? Yeah, besides the walking, he's a good reminder for me, isn't he? I also changed out my total 2% yogurts for total fat-free yogurts, which are smaller. So there wasn't the quantity, but actually, although the total 2% yogurts are 3 sins, and I did replace that with 3 sins worth of something else, I didn't cut my sins, I won't do that. I did change that. So that's the other thing I've changed this week. I changed my yogurts.
Just less free food.
Less free food?
Yeah, less free food from the yogurt.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and it's the 170 gram pot of
rather than the 500. Yeah, so
yeah.
less free food included there. But all in all, next week I'll probably go back to the 2% ones because I don't need to lose weight. But there are little changes we can make that will result in a £2 weight loss even when you're at target. Today I weigh 10 stone 4, which is probably the lowest I've ever weighed since I was 11 years old, 12 years old. So it is possible, and even when you're nearing target, up your game, you'll lose the weight. I hear a lot of people say, I'm near target, it's slow, I can't do it. Just up your game, make some changes. It works. Right, so back to my shit week. Somebody I love very dearly is in intensive care at the moment and has been since last Saturday. The old me would have eaten over that. That's not going to help her, and it's certainly not going to help me. So I haven't picked the food up over it. Had one morning this week when I got up and my brand new central heating boiler wasn't working. Now I would have had a meltdown and a crisis, my past history. I didn't have a meltdown. I didn't have a crisis. I went in the shower and Joe sorted it. It was just the kind of boiler where the pressure can fall out, and he upped the pressure. I didn't expect that to happen after 2 weeks, but it does happen. It's life. And the other thing, I'm not having a good week with electrical things either. I had a brand new washing machine 35 days ago, and on Sunday it flooded my kitchen, my new kitchen. Now, again, I came through the door to water on the floor and thought, F, 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 F. And I went off on one. Verbally, I went off on one. Emotionally, I didn't let it get hold of me. And food-wise, I never even considered eating over it. Now, I'm only telling you these things, not because I want sympathy or empathy, but because with my history, my track record, these are the things I would have used as an excuse to stuff my face. I wouldn't have realised back then that I was making excuses. I would have just looked for this, peg to hang on to or hang myself onto and say, I can eat over this. Aren't I badly done to? This week I have not picked up food once in response to anything that's happened. And it has been a tough week. It really has been a tough week. When you see people hurting and you can't do anything, it's an easy thing to do to push down your own pain with food. I know it's easy because I've done it 1,000 times or more, but not this week. I've had an on-week plan, and that's what I aim for every week now. And it's becoming the norm. Right. So that's where I'm at this week. I went to group this morning. As I say, we had a standing consultant. She was very good. She has 17 and a half years of experience, and it showed. Straight talking lady, I like that. She didn't wrap anything up. She didn't bullshit us. She didn't soft talk us. She wasn't there to people please because we don't know her very well. She doesn't know us very well. She did her job and she did it really, really well. I don't know how often any of you have gone to group, and we've done it ourselves and other people do it. Stand in the queue going, I had a terrible week. I've eaten this. I was stressed over that. Oh, such and such happened and my husband bought me this and I had to eat it, and my husband bought me this and I had to drink it, and my best friend gave me a currant bun so I had to eat it. It's all down to choices. We chose to do those things. But we stand there in the queue and we say these things because we expect to get on the scales and have had a gain, and we're trying to justify it. Right? I've done it. I know I'm talking from experience here. I've done it. Worn the t-shirt, read the book. Probably got the DVD as well. But we've done that, all of us, I think, in turn have done that. Now, when we hear people do that and then they get on the scales and they've had a weight loss, doesn't it make you feel cross inside? Because it does me. I think, that's not fair. That's not right. And then the next person in the queue who's had a week bang on plan gets on and they've gained half a pound. That makes me even crosser, especially if that person is me. But it happens, doesn't it? I think we've all experienced that in the queue to get weighed. Well, in the group this morning, the lady said, when somebody started reeling out excuses, actually, I lost 2.5 pounds this week, but I had a pizza and I'm making this up a bit. I'm not giving somebody as an example, but it happens. And the lady who was leading group said, whoa, we get the gist. We don't need the list. And I thought that was really valuable. I like that little saying because it spoke volumes. It said what it was. You've done it now. Don't sit there and brag about it because you're just going to piss us all off. And that's the truth, isn't it? We don't need to hear that. What we need to hear is what you're going to do about it. If you had a bad week, what you can do about it next week. You've had a good week, share with us what you've done. We need motivation and encouragement. So just remember that. We've got the gist. We don't need the list. Yeah, it was a good group. In our group this morning, we lost 4.5 stone, which the first group lost 4 3/4 stone. So if you think about it, that's a whole person, isn't it? Every Saturday morning, we're losing a whole person. I just still find that incredible when I've been there 14 months and I hear it weekly and I think, wow. Jo, I want to say congratulations to Jo, mummy of twins. Jo got her 4 stone award this week. I think she's now at 4 stone 2 pounds. That's a lot of weight. I mean, that is fabulous in about 17 or 18 weeks. I would say if you haven't found Jo yet, and I think most of you will have, but if you haven't found Jo yet, look for her. Jo, Mummy of, I don't know if it's Mummy of Twins or It's a Mummy of Twins thing. I admire you, Jo, so much. Somebody said this week, who inspires you, Jane? And I would have to say, Jo, you're on my list, because what you're doing is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. For me today, I have to live this plan. I am obsessive in some ways about it. I am precise and exact in a lot of ways about it. But if I don't do it this way, I'll get fat again. And I'm not prepared to do that.
And well done, Lauren B.
Well done, Lauren B. Yeah, another brilliant achievement. I mean, watch these people. If you want to be inspired, watch Lauren B. Watch Jo. It's inspiring stuff. It's amazing stuff. It's real. These are real people living the plan. They're not, ambassadors for Slimming World. They're just real women who have known what it's like to be morbidly obese and are now doing something about it. And Lauren's going down the road of vegetarianism and veganism, and good on you, girl. If that's what works for you, good on you, because we can all learn from that. It's a healthy way of eating. It's not for everybody. But find what works for you. I found what works for me. And I would, implore everybody, find what works for you. Within this plan, find what works for you. My word of the week this week is changes. I'm going to talk to you about some quite drastic changes I had to make about 18 months ago. Starting from Christmas of 2014, through to end of April 2015, I had a bit of I don't know if it was a crisis patch in my life, a desperate patch, an unhappy patch, what it was. I don't know where it came from even. But I got into, Jo and I were walking at the time, and we would walk into town more or less every day because it was a good 4-mile walk, and it was on part of my walking journey, and we would walk into town and we would bus home. But when we walked into town, we would generally go for a hot drink. And because I'm the one who pays, I'm the one who chooses, control freak as I am. And there's a fantastic place in Nottingham called Chocolate Utopia. And it's a handmade chocolate shop run by a young couple. And it's amazing. The chocolates are incredible. They're all handmade. They're beautiful. And they also do their own take on a hot chocolate, which I would say is probably a 300ml tall glass. Now, I did ask afterwards. Each glass of chocolate contains 40 grams of Belgian chocolate, melted Belgian chocolate. You can have white, you can have milk, you can have dark. Tried them all, and I settled on the milk one. We were going in there, what would you say, Jo, 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes 6? Yeah. And for £5.40 a time, we would have 2 hot chocolates, and with your hot chocolate, you had a choice from 54 different chocolates.
Hang on, I'd have a coffee.
Oh,
2
yeah.
hot chocolates.
You had a hot chocolate sometimes. He
No, I
would,
didn't.
all right, goody,
No, I didn't.
goody
I don't-
two
I don't-
shoes,
I
goody
like
two shoes.
chocolate.
Okay, Goody Two Shoes would have a black coffee. Let me be honest. I would have a hot chocolate. Goody Two Shoes would have a black coffee. He's not a big chocolate person, so you get a free chocolate with your coffee, and I would generally have both of them. Well, that's how it started. I would have both of them. It crept up from there to sometimes I would also buy 2 extras. So quite often I'd have 4 chocolates. Now, it wasn't until after I was doing this, as I say, 4, 5, 6 times a week. And if I could drag my husband, my ex, into town on a Sunday, I'd do it a 7th time. It wasn't until way after I joined Slimming World and thought about it, we worked out that 1 hot chocolate with squirty cream on top, and I think squirty cream should be banned, it's evil stuff. 1 hot chocolate with squirty cream on the top and 2 chocolates is 26 sins. So I was doing that daily. But not only was I doing that, we would then walk up to Aldi and I would buy a large bar of chocolate, you know, this size bar, plus the little pack of 5 small bars of chocolate, the Praline one, plus either a medium-sized pork pie or 2 of Aldi's Cornish pasties. We'd come home, that would be my lunch. I don't just mean the pork pie or the Cornish pasty, I mean the pork pie or the 2 Cornish pasties and all of that chocolate. Now, I probably wouldn't eat anything else in the day, that would be it.
You missed our breakfast.
Oh yeah. My breakfast before I went would be probably the equivalent of what I call a portion of porridge today. So maybe around the 60-70 grams of porridge made with whole milk and about 40 grams of chocolate beans in it from the chocolate shop, which melted and made the perfect chocolate porridge. Now, was I addicted to chocolate or was it a bad habit? I don't know today. I would have said it was an addiction. I couldn't live without it. I was horrible if I didn't get my fix. But when I look back on what I was doing, the crazy thing is, for that 4-month period, I maintained my weight at around 13 stone 8. Probably it went up and down a couple of pounds here and there. How I maintained my weight, I don't know. But I was sick most of the time, as in I had one cold after another. I ached from head to toe. I had unbearable headaches. I was living on paracetamols and I was tired. So tired. I would get up in the morning as tired as if I hadn't slept for 3 nights. The whole day would drag because I was so tired. I'd go to bed at night so tired that I was beyond sleeping. I just laid there yawning. Then my friend came to me one day, spoke about Slimming World, and I realised I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's when I actually got myself sorted, joined Slimming World. And after 3 or 4 weeks on plan, felt like I'd been reborn. And I think it's because it took that 3 or 4 weeks for all of this rubbish to get out of my system. I was so stoked up on sugar and caffeine and full fat milk and overabundance of fat from pork pies and pasties. I just can't tell you how ill I felt for those 4 months. But if it hadn't been for the friend who sat me down and talked to me about Slimming World, how would I ever have got out of that vicious circle? Because that's what it had become. And I hear people share today, you know, that they're in a vicious circle of battling with food substances, you know. Excuse me, some people can't kick the pizza habit, some people can't kick the sugar habit, some people can't kick the whatever habit, whatever that substance is. And I have to say, you know, I think looking back on it, stopping smoking was easier than kicking a lot of these habits. And I wasn't a light smoker, I was a 20-a-day person and full strength Marlboro at that. I wasn't, you know, the odd fag here and there person or a social smoker. I was a serious smoker. That was easier than kicking some of these habits. But every day that I get further away from doing those things, it actually gets easier. If I suddenly took 3 days off plan and decided to stuff myself with chocolate, I think I would be, you know, wiping out what I've done in the last year. Because every day it just gets easier. I was saying to Joe, when did I last eat chocolate? And, you know, this is a girl who couldn't go 4 minutes with or 4 hours or never ever went from meal to meal without having chocolate in between. I just didn't. I was the ultimate chocoholic. So when did I last eat chocolate? Well, thinking back, and I think it's got to be 4 weeks ago, maybe 5 now, I did put in one of my vlogs that on the Saturday night I was going to have half an Easter egg. It was in May, because I remember thinking Easter was in March and Joe had still got 2.5 Easter eggs. At that point, he gave 2 away and gave half of one to me. So in May, probably somewhere around the middle of May, I had half an Easter egg. I haven't picked up any chocolate since. That hasn't been a conscious effort not to pick up chocolate. I haven't even thought about it. I'm not saying I wouldn't choose to have chocolate later today or sometime during the week. I can have it if I want it. It's there, it's available. But it hasn't crossed my mind to have it. So I'm hoping, no, I'm trusting that addiction to chocolate is now broken, just the same as the addiction to cigarettes has been broken. It's one day at a time for me. But that one day carries me further away from the addiction. So, yeah, I just needed to share that with you because I don't think I've ever really faced up to how bad I was around chocolate until Joe said to me the other day, Mum, I was so worried during that period that you were going to have a heart attack or you were going to have a stroke because you were out of it on chocolate. And when I look back, I was out of it. I was a zombie. I literally was a zombie on chocolate. So, yeah, what I'm bringing from that is changes. We have to make changes if we want to see improvements. And however small those changes are, you will see an improvement. But if you can make a big change, and my change was to say that from the day I joined Slimming World, I stopped going to Chocolate Utopia and drinking my sins. I haven't stopped going to Chocolate Utopia totally. I still go in there reasonably regularly to buy first class chocolates for other people. But I don't go in there now to feed me. I've had 2 chocolates from the chocolate counter, I think, in the last year. No, I've had 3 because one day I went in and Robin gave me a free chocolate. I'm not sure he charged me for the last 2 I had, but I went in one there and I made a conscious effort to spend 8 cents on 2 milk chocolate chocolates. So it was on plan. I ate them when I was walking around town and I thought, do you know what? They were fantastic, but were they worth 8 cents? I think next time if I fancy one, I'll just have the one. But I've not felt the need to do it since, and I've been in there several times to buy chocolate for gifts. So I stand in there now and I inhale the smell. Yeah, that's good enough for me today. Other changes I've made are a conscious decision not to drink sins. I just mentioned that briefly. It's really important for me today to actually have value for sins. I need to know that I've enjoyed my sins. Like I've said about food, I only eat food today if I really, really like it. If I'm suddenly faced with something and I think, actually I'm not enjoying this, I can throw it in the bin. I can leave it. I will only eat what I really, really like. I only buy first class food. I don't buy stuff in the supermarket because it's on offer or it's on buy one get one free or they're multi-packs. It's got to be something I really, really like. And I'll pay a good price for good food. I don't buy junk anymore. I eat very little processed food. I do still eat some processed food. I eat hi-fi bars. What are they if they're not processed food? You know, Joe would probably give you a list of, I eat baked beans, they're processed, aren't they? There is probably a list of the processings I eat, but I don't buy microwave meals anymore. I don't buy ready-made pies and quiches and things wrapped in pastry like I used to. And I don't drink my sins. Now, I do drink coffee and I do add to it milk from my Healthy Extra. I would not go into Starbucks today like I used to, well, probably more costly than Starbucks, and buy these big frothed up, I don't know what most of them are called now, coffees and things. I go to Starbucks and I have an iced black Americano. Is that what they're called, Joe?
Yeah.
Americano. And I love them. I ask for it without the sugar syrup because I'm not prepared to have all those sins worth of sugar syrup in it. I don't opt for the sugar-free syrups because I'm not a big lover of artificial sweeteners. I'm evolving this way. This is not something I changed overnight. These are gradual changes for me. I don't think today I could drink one of those big milky frothy coffees anymore. I used to love them. So they're all changes that I've gradually made, and they're not about being Miss Perfect. I'm not. I'm not a robot. I'm not an automaton. I'm just a person who feels so well, so fit and so healthy because of what I'm putting into my body today. And I can do, like last night we set off at tea time to go for a walk, and the weather was nice. It poured it down after we'd been out about 20 minutes and we got very wet, and I was wearing shorts, so I had lovely wet legs. But you know what? We did 8.5 miles, was it?
Yeah, 8.5.
And I felt as good as I walked up my drive coming home as I did walking down my drive going out. Because I've got energy today because of the way I eat. I'm quite disappointed that I've got to wait in today for my new washing machine, which is coming between 12 and 2. And then we're taking somebody shopping later. Excuse me. So I'm quite disappointed that I won't have time to do a long walk in between, but I'll get one in tomorrow.
You can always hula hoop.
I can always hula hoop, you're right, yeah, I can. Don't have to go outdoors to do that, I can do it in my lounge. But the point I'm making about changes is the changes I've made suit me. They wouldn't necessarily be the right changes for you to make, but there will be changes that you can make. For example, this week, if you want to shed some weight this week, if you've been, standing still a bit or backpedaling a bit, and you decide to get up this morning, you've been to group today, you've had a maintainer again, and you said to me, Jane, what can I do to turn this around? I'd say to you, there's a few things. Firstly, watch what you're drinking. Don't drink too many of your sins. I'm not going to say up your water because I'd be a hypocrite, because Joe will tell you, hand on heart, you never bloody see me drinking water. If I have a glass of water, it's once in a blue moon. So I can never say to anybody, up your water intake, or I'd be a hypocrite. I don't like water. I drink, but I don't drink enough. I know I don't drink enough. That's something I've got to work on, and it'll come in due course. But being perfectly frank with you today, I have to do what works for me. And that's not on my agenda. I do drink enough. I believe I drink enough. I don't drink enough of it as water. So that's something I need to address. But I would say to you, look at what you're drinking. Make sure that you're not thirsty rather than hungry when you keep wanting to snack. If you are hungry, snack on speed. Up your meals. Eat more rather than less. Stick to plan 100%. And I guarantee you'll have a weight loss next week. Play around with it, and I very much doubt you'll get what you need. There's a guy on YouTube, you probably all watch him already, he's called Jason Andrews. He's doing Slimming World, and I just found him this week. And I've noticed at the end of his vlog, he said, I hope you get the weight loss you deserve. And I thought, I like that. Because if I decide today not to stick to plan, and I don't lose weight, I'm getting what I deserve. It sounds hard, doesn't it? But I am getting what I deserve. So yeah, I worked hard this week for a £2 weight loss. I was aiming for £1 and I overjumped a bit. But it wasn't, I worked hard for it, but it wasn't hard work. Because all I did was change my yogurt, walk a bit further than I did last week, and stick to plan. I can't think of anything else I did, Joe, can you?
No.
That was it.
See?
That's what I did this week. So make a little change. Change your yogurt. Change your fruit. If you're a lover of blueberries, grapes, bananas, cherries, pineapple, all lovely fruit and all free, change two of those 5 to plums and strawberries, or raspberries and melon. Just change 2 of them. You'll see a difference. It works. Anyway, boss your head off. That's it, changes. I've got 3 things in front of me here that we bought in Asda this week that I've had on plan. The first is this lovely, lovely South African plum. And it's called Fruit Fall.
Flavorful.
Sorry, I knew I'd get it wrong. flavourful. They're big. I mean, if you can see the size of that, it's almost as big as a nectarine, but they are gorgeous. They're Speed. You get 6 for £2 and they're in Asda this week. If you cut them in half, the stone just falls out. So you don't have to worry about eating it off the stone, because I know sometimes that can't be very nice for some people. Buy them, taste them, eat them. I mean, this is like, there's give in it. It's perfectly ripe. We've been eating these all week. In fact, Piggy Joe ate 6 the other day. Right? My second piece of fruit, I'm into the colour purple this week, aren't I? Now, there will be somebody watching who says, what the hell is that? Because I might have said that a year ago. This is a fresh fig. All you need to do is cut the top bit off and eat the whole thing. You don't peel it, you just eat the whole fruit. These are fabulous. Now, I was surprised because I thought these were Speed. We checked, they're not. They're free, but they're not Speed. But they're full of little tiny seeds, which makes me think, although they're not Speed, there's got to be a good amount of fibre in there. They go beautifully with yoghurt, anything. Well, they're just a lovely fruit. So again, Asda have them. When they're a good purple colour like this, they're ripe and ready for eating. I'm not sure, what colour are they when they're not ripe, Joe?
Green, bit green.
Bit green. So if you're looking for them in Asda, pick the purple ones if you want them to eat straight away. They are lovely. And sticking with my purpley theme, have you all tried the new Muller Lite? Well, I think it's new. I might just not have seen it before. Turkish Delight with dark chocolate sprinkles. Now, I like Fry's Turkish Delight, you know, the one that's covered in chocolate. I haven't had one for years, but I like that. I don't like the Turkish Delight that comes covered in icing sugar in a wooden box. But these do smell and taste like Turkish Delight. I add quark to it to make my overnight Weetabix, and I could still taste the Turkish Delight. So if you wanted to add some Greek fat-free yogurt or something to bulk it up for your overnight oats, I think you would still taste the Turkish Delight. Lovely. Asda's Muller Lite offer is back on this week, and they were 8 for £4. The last couple of weeks here they've been 68p each, and that really grieves me. So definitely worth a try. Definitely worth a try. Right, I think that's all I wanted to bring to you this week, unless Joe can think of anything else I'd said. No, that's it? Yeah?
Oh, we spoke about it a while ago, but showing that diagram of like the big breakfast to small tea.
Oh, yeah.
Look over it. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. He'll fetch it. I mean, I've talked about this on my vlogs before when I've said I breakfast like a king, I lunch like a prince, and my tea is more like a pauper's. And during the day, I mean, I do snack. I have my hi-fi bars when I'm walking. I might have fruit at another stage if I want it. But during the day, I can honestly say, hand on heart, I am never hungry. Because I eat big meals, because I eat well. And if I can lose £2 when I'm actually maintaining, now my weight loss is £4 short of 12 stone, and I can still lose £2 at this stage by sticking to plan, eating big meals and eating well. A little message here for Julie, lovely Irish lady called Julie. I think she vlogs as just Julie. Julie shared in her vlog yesterday, and you'll have seen it, that she eats her meals off a tea plate and has a small bowl. Can I share today that my lunch generally weighs at least 1 kilo? Now, 90% of that or 80% of that will be vegetables, but that's not a small lunch. You know, I couldn't get my meal on a tea plate unless it was 8 inches high. So please, this diet, if you want to call it a diet, and I think if you're eating off a tea plate, Julie, you may be treating it like a diet, bless you. This food plan, for want of a better word, works better if you eat more. I know it sounds like a nonsense, but it's true. If you have 2 hi-fi bars for your breakfast and you're hungry all morning, you're shortchanging yourself. If you have an apple and a cup of coffee for your breakfast and you're hungry all morning, you're punishing yourself. Treat yourself like your best friend. Eat good meals. Don't ever be hungry on this food plan. You'll lose better weight that way. It sounds crackers, but it's true. It's really true. Anyway, Joe has something he wanted to explain. Can you talk over what it is?
And basically, on the left, you can see it on the camera, but on the left, they're having coffee and a pastry for breakfast, a small bagel for lunch, and then a large tea of like meat with bread and salad for tea, and then they're having dessert. Whereas the person on the right, who's the upside down triangle body shape, she's having the big breakfast, the lighter lunch, the smaller kind of SPT, and then a light dessert afterwards, because like her blood sugar is more stable throughout the day rather than being hungry throughout the day and binging at night. She's started on a kind of good foundation of food, and through the day she just goes to less and less. So yeah.
Now, they weren't necessarily Slimming World foods, but you can adapt that way of eating within plan, and I promise you, you'll never be hungry. You'll never be tired. You won't get as many headaches. It just works. It amazes me how well it works. Joe, can you just get one of the pictures to show, please? Because I promised to show. Was that me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I knocked the camera. Right, Joe's just going to get a final picture to show and then we're off. Oh,
God.
I'm having a bad period. I just... Well, never mind. I talk too much anyway. I've messed up the end of the vlog, but does it matter? This is real life and I'm not going to eat over it. So if Joe can just pass me a picture, I'll show you the next picture from his vegetable selection for my kitchen. Who have I got, Joe?
That's a strawberry.
That way?
The scrumptious strawberry.
This is the scrumptious strawberry. I've been eating her every day this week from Aldi. They're gorgeous, big fat strawberries. I'll just move her up so you get to see her shoes. You see her handbag? Yeah, and down again. Isn't she beautiful? She can now go up in my kitchen. Anyway, I'm going to go now. As I say, I've waffled on. I have an awful lot to say. I'm very opinionated, but it's only because I really care about you people out there. You keep me on plan. I hope that sometimes I give you a little something that might help you to stay on plan. I'm going to do what I always do, 2 A's, 2 B's, 11 sins. I'm going to have a good week on plan. And I'll just say one thing before I go. It works if you work it. It won't if you don't. I pray that every one of you has a really blessed week and you'll lose weight next week. Have a good one. Bye.